Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're spending some time in Thao Dien, that part of Saigon that so many people describe as the city's expat haven. If you have ever walked around there, you know the feeling right away. It is the place where you might hear more English than Vietnamese on the street, where a French bistro does not feel unusual at all, and where an Italian bakery can somehow seem like part of the neighborhood's natural ecosystem. It is polished, leafy, comfortable, and for many international residents, it feels like the easiest landing pad in Vietnam. But of course, no neighborhood is a fantasy forever. Even the most charming places come with little reality checks, and Thao Dien has a few that people only really understand after they have lived there for a while.
That is exactly what makes it such an interesting place to talk about. On the surface, Thao Dien can look almost effortless. You get the cafes, the international feel, the villas, the apartment buildings, the schools, the imported groceries, and the sense that daily life has been tailored for people who want comfort with minimal friction. And honestly, that is part of the appeal. But the same features that make it convenient can also create some very specific frustrations. The neighborhood can feel like a dream until the water rises, traffic backs up, the bill arrives, or the paperwork asks for a level of organization that your landlord may not have fully signed up for. So maybe the best way to talk about Thao Dien is not as a perfect expat paradise, but as a place with a very polished surface and a very human set of complications underneath.
Let's start with the one that seems to surprise people the most: water. For many expats, the biggest fear is not culture shock or language barriers. It is the rain, the tide, and what happens when they decide to team up. During heavy tropical downpours, or when the Saigon River pushes high water into the area, streets like 𝗟𝗠𝗡𝗬𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗡 and 𝗛𝗢𝗡𝗍𝗡𝗠𝗧 can turn into something much closer to a canal than a road. And if you have ever seen someone trying to keep their balance in shorts while pushing a stalled Vespa through knee-deep water, you know the image stays with you. It is one of those moments that is equal parts stressful and absurd. You cannot exactly laugh while you are in it, but later, when the water has gone down, it is hard not to see the comedy in the scene.
And the thing about flooding is that it changes the mood of a whole day. You can leave the house expecting a normal errand run, and suddenly you are doing mental arithmetic about shoes, trousers, motorbikes, and how much of your patience is left. It is a very practical kind of inconvenience, but it also becomes part of the neighborhood's identity. People who live there quickly learn to check the weather with a little more seriousness. They also learn that convenience can be fragile. A street that feels calm and upscale 1 hour can feel like a miniature waterway the next. That contrast is part of the reality of living in a river-adjacent tropical city. Thao Dien may be beautiful, but it is not immune to nature, reminding everyone who is really in charge.
Then there is traffic, which may not sound dramatic until you try to move during rush hour. Because so many international schools are concentrated in and around the area, and because there are only so many bottlenecks connecting the peninsula back to the main highway, the morning and evening commute can test even the calmest person. 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon can feel less like ordinary times of day and more like scheduled obstacles. You think you are just going across the neighborhood, and suddenly every lane feels crowded, every turn feels slower, and the trip takes on a mysterious, elastic quality. Time stretches, patience shrinks, and the whole experience can feel a little bit like participating in a very slow sporting event that nobody actually wanted to enter.
That is a great way to put it. And what makes the traffic especially frustrating is that the neighborhood otherwise feels so livable. You can be surrounded by calm streets, green spaces, and a general sense of order, and then rush hour arrives and says, not so fast. In some places, traffic is just noise in the background. In Thao Dien, it can become part of the daily schedule. People learn their own little survival habits. Maybe you leave earlier. Maybe you stay later. Maybe you choose a different route and hope everyone else did not have the same idea. It is one of those very real reminders that expat comfort still exists inside a busy city, not outside it. The neighborhood may feel like a bubble, but roads and timing have their own opinions.
Newcomers expecting cheap living in Vietnam quickly realize Thảo Điền comes with an international price tag. Essentials like artisanal sourdough, organic produce, and specialty coffee rival Western prices, while rents for prime homes remain high. Coupled with high electricity bills from constant air conditioning, comfort here comes at a clear premium.
Adjusting to Thảo Điền requires resetting your cost of living expectations. Vietnam as a whole may be affordable, but Thảo Điền is an international micro-market. Here, you pay a premium for convenience, Western standards, and familiarity. There's nothing wrong with paying for ease, just don't assume every receipt will be cheap, because the high rent and non-stop air conditioning will quickly prove otherwise.
Paperwork and real estate present another quiet reality check in Thảo Điền. Issues like temporary residence registration often go unnoticed until you need to renew a visa or apply for a TRC, only to discover your landlord never properly registered you with local authorities. What seems like a friendly lease agreement can suddenly turn into a major administrative headache down the line.
Lease agreements in Thảo Điền can easily lead to misunderstandings over deposits, maintenance, and repairs due to language barriers and vague terms. True living comfort isn't just a stylish apartment. It's having clear paper contracts and open communication with your landlord. A beautiful home with unclear paperwork is simply an expensive life lesson with air conditioning.
A quieter reality of Thảo Điền is the bubble effect. With English spoken at cafes, clinics, and shops, life is so frictionless that you can easily live there for years without learning Vietnamese. While this convenience makes settling in effortless, it can also create an insulating bubble that quietly narrows your experience of Vietnam if you never step outside it.
Thảo Đien's bubble makes life easier, but it can also make it smaller. Staying strictly within its comfortable borders means missing Saigon's richer, raw textures like sidewalk 𝗛𝗢𝗡𝗘 stalls, lively wet markets, and spontaneous local encounters. The neighborhood makes comfort so effortless that you have to actively remind yourself to step out and explore the uncurated city beyond.
Thảo Điền offers a valuable, low-friction base for newcomers, adapting to a new country or career. While convenience isn't full cultural immersion, there is no shame in enjoying an easy landing pad. The ideal expat experience simply balances the comfort of Thảo Điền with an openness to explore the messier, more authentic layers of local Saigon beyond the bubble.
Thảo Điền is compelling precisely because it balances high livability with unexpected quirks. Alongside premium prices, flooded streets, and traffic bottlenecks, it delivers a vibrant, diverse, and welcoming community. It offers international residents stability, familiarity, and belonging, even if that comfort comes with a few amusing complications, making every local story read half like praise and half like survival notes.
The true Thảo Điền story is defined by constant negotiations between ease and inconvenience. Morning specialty coffees give way to flooded afternoon streets and complex rental terms, yet these quirks enrich its charm rather than spoil it. A place stays in your memory not because life there is perfectly smooth, but because it provides enough comfort to feel like home and just enough chaos to keep the journey interesting.
Despite its floods, traffic, high costs, and expat bubble, Thảo Điền remains one of Saigon's most vibrant and welcoming communities. The daily annoyances become the exact stories you laugh about later, reminding us that life abroad is a mix of comfort, complication, beauty, and chaos. If you live in Thảo Điền or know someone moving there, just remember, the water may rise and the rent may sting, but the adventure is completely worth it.